What is up, my friend? So, pretty much this Black Mirror episode deals with virtual reality and what is real, what is not, what classifies as a romance, gender identity, sexual orientation, and pretty much all of that in less than an hour. So, that's one of the reasons I think many people have been critiquing this one so hard because it's been trying to do so many topics all at once in less than an hour. It's just impossible to do, but I think what they do end up doing is pretty much really brushing on these things and having you think about them after. It would have been cool. However, I think if they really had made this into sort of a show, maybe 2 or 3 more episodes to really get to dissect all of those ideas. But anyways, the plot of this story basically deals with Danny, Theo, and Carl. So Danny and Theo are a couple. We see them when they're 27 years old, and also Carl. We see that Carl and Danny have a pretty tight relationship, and Theo and Danny are also in a pretty good relationship as a couple. We then go 11 years into the future where we see that now Danny and Theo married, have a son, and they have a pretty comfortable lifestyle as well as Carl, who seems to be successful at what he does, ends up coming to Danny's birthday after not having talked for about a year, which is never really explained why, but he gives Danny a virtual reality disc of Striking Vipers X, which is the game that they were playing when they were younger, and this is sort of a Mortal Kombat type of game. We then see that Carl and Danny later that night, they start to play, and they choose their characters they've always chose. We see Carl choose Roxette, and we see Danny play as Lance. And you'll notice that Roxette is played by Palm Clementif, I believe I'm saying that right, who is also Mantis in the Guardians of the Galaxy. So we got 2 superheroes in the house. Anyways, we then get to see that they start fighting, and Carl tells Danny that every hit and stuff in the game, you actually feel it. So that makes the game pretty interesting. I thought this was going to take a different type of turn when I heard this. I thought it was going to be more violent. But then we see that they are actually starting to have sex as well in the game. And Danny and Carl are just like hooked and addicted to this. And Danny is starting to neglect his wife, which makes her feel like what is going on. He forgets about wedding anniversaries. He's not kissing her. He's not even touching her anymore, which is something that she points out if something's wrong with her or if he's cheating, which he gets pissed off about. Danny decides that he has to stop what he's doing with Carl. Carl is pissed off. He doesn't want to stop. He says what's wrong. It's not like they're doing anything like inappropriate or anything like that, right? Danny decides that it's not fair to Theo what he's doing, and he tells Carl, we have to come to an ultimatum. We have to decide if we are going to do this for real, and it can't just be virtual reality, to decide to meet up, to kiss physically, to see if they feel anything. Ultimately, they don't. Carl decides that I don't want to do this anymore. Like, let's just keep being the virtual reality partners. Danny's like, no. They end up getting into a scuffle about that and get arrested. Theo has to pick up Danny from the police station, and then we see things cut to black when Theo asks what is going on. We see their wedding anniversary, and they each give themselves a gift, a little box, and we find out that in the little box for Danny that Theo gave him is the virtual reality headset, and Danny's box to Theo is actually her wedding ring finger. Yeah, that'd be an interesting take, right, if her finger was in there. No, but it's actually the wedding ring box where she was able to put the wedding ring back when she goes out. So pretty much they made an arrangement where on, I think, every month or so, or maybe on special dates, Danny can go and have the virtual sex with Carl, and Theo can go and hook up with a stranger, and that's how it ends. So I think pretty much a lot of the themes that this is hitting on is, one is, do relationships work as, can they open relationship actually work, and is Danny actually cheating if he's having virtual sex? Or is Theo the only one cheating if she's actually being physical? Because you could get into the whole, well, you're already cheating because, texting is considered cheating as well for many people as well. And so, I mean, virtual sex is definitely cheating, especially with somebody that you know as well. And as Carl pointed out many times, that he has been with other players when Danny cut him off cold, and he still didn't feel anything with them. It just like was just whatever. So there is some sort of like love type thing going on there, which makes it more complicated and makes Danny pretty frustrated, as we see. So I thought that was pretty interesting for Carl to bring up, and makes everything much more complicated. And I do believe that they were cheating when they were having the virtual sex. So Danny was right that it's not fair to Theo what he's doing, and that he should like let her live her own life if this is what he's going to be doing. But I also think that's why they came to that compromise where, okay, if Danny's can do this, then Theo can do that. And I think at the end, if they're both okay with it, with the compromise they've made, this is their relationship and they are free to do whatever they want with it. It doesn't have to be traditional. I mean, traditional, if you prefer traditional, is fine. Nothing wrong with that either. But I think that this episode was really showing how as a society we've progressed to where things don't have to fit a certain mold or norm, or you don't even have to understand it to actually get it and approve of it, because people can just, if they're happy, they're happy. But I think another interesting thing about it is how we get so sucked up into not just virtual reality, but our social media, our computers, our phones, that sometimes what we end up doing is letting go of the people around us because we're not really bothering with them anymore. We're not really striking conversations, having any intimacy. And I think that was a pretty interesting thing that this hit right here, because there's certain articles that have come up that people are having less sex nowadays because they're so consumed by video games. And I think that that's one of the main focuses here. But also another one I really do believe is gender identity and sexual orientation, because it's really interesting that when they're together physically, they're not really attracted to each other and don't feel anything. It's only when they're in the game and they have different bodies, especially Carl, who has a female body, and he says he likes that even more, but he's still not really attracted to Danny in a physical way, but it has to be virtual. So I thought that was a pretty interesting concept, and all these things I'm talking about, I'm gonna brush up even more in a future video I'll be making next week, where I'll dive more in depth into each episode. But pretty much by the end of this episode, I think that what we get is just a compromise between a couple to make their relationship work. And hey, if they're happy, they're happy. What do you think, however, about Striking Vipers? Did you like it? Did you not? What is your favorite episode on this season of Black Mirror? Let me know in the comments below. But anyways, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers. Let's get to that together. And as always, I'll see y'all next time. Stay positive.